Okay, so now what? Fast forward, you take this gig, this acting gig in Pennsylvania. Can you share with us a typical day in the beautiful Amish country?
Yes, I can. Okay, so now I'm going to read a typical day at this point. I'm now acting in a show down in the Amish country. Okay. All spiritual dilemmas aside, I needed a blender. I was totally preoccupied with finding this blender. I was making protein shakes every day to stay in healthy shape for the physically demanding schedule of the show. So mixing ingredients by hand was getting old. I needed a blender. So I called Yvonne, my landlady, and I asked her where I could buy one. I had no idea where any stores were. Since I'd come to Lancaster, I hadn't really ventured out on my own at all. Basically, my routine was go to the theater and come home. And that was it. So she sent me to a small town where there was a Kmart. Living in Landisville meant I had to drive through Mount Joy, all of about 2 traffic lights, and on to Elizabethtown. She didn't name these little towns. She just told me to stay on Route 230 or Main Street and I would eventually see the Kmart. As I hit the first red light in Mount Joy, I turned to my left and there was this big black stretch limo pulling out from opposite side of the road. It had made a left-hand turn and passed in front of me, right in front of the Dollar General store. God, you must be showing me that you can bring my husband here. He's probably someone famous visiting his mother or some close relative who moved to this area, hence the black limo. As a limo, possibly carrying my future husband, drove out of sight, I continued to drive through town. I looked at the stores on both sides of Main Street. The Dollar General was the only store name remotely recognizable. What do 2 people who live around here do for a living? I muttered. What do they do for a life, for that matter? Lord, oh my word, if I lived here, I would slit my wrists. A stretch limo sighting and a purchase from Kmart, all in one day. It was like 2 worlds colliding. I cruised out of town a little faster and headed toward the Kmart. I was on a mission for a blender to make me slender. Okay, I laughed at my own joke. Silly, right? Shook me out of all my judgmental thoughts, but I was still determined that the next blender I purchased would be from Macy's on 34th Street in Midtown Manhattan.
And was that the next place that you purchased a blender?
Not quite. I never made it back to that Macy's in Midtown.